home. Have you heard the news? It's probably been twisted to keep the general population conflicted. Better lick your finger and turn the page. Dissect the lines that made you to rage. Get out of your Monday drudgery. Turn up the volume on front page fuckery. Yeah.
Seems like ever since the first day we met, ay, there is no one else I think of more than you. Can't get you off my end, 'cause the verdict's in. I'm crazy over you. How can one be down? Tell me where to start, 'cause every time you smile, I feel tremors in my heart. I have one concern. My one concern is you, till I'm with you. Here's what I'm gonna do. Sitting up in my room, I kept thinking about you. Let me stop before Spotify or YouTube, one of them, drags me for copyright, because I think you're only allowed to sing a few moments of a song, but I was really into that. That was Brandy, my version, Sitting Up in My Room. Don't tell her, because I don't want her to tussle with me like she used to tussle with Monica. But it's me, Kelechi, the baby girl, mother of London, back with another episode of Front Page Fuckery. That's right, where we turn bad news into good conversation. Yeah, you know, sometimes I hear love songs, right? And I hear them and I think about running, or I think about the gym. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I hear that, sitting up in my room, all I'm doing is thinking about you. To me, I would sing that to a squat rack, you know? I'd sing that to a 25 kg dumbbell. To another human, I don't think so. I don't think so. But yeah, sometimes love songs, in my mind, when I hear them, I'm usually thinking about food, running, or the gym, or maybe my cute outfits. That's pretty much it. But I just wanted to share that. Not every love song has to be about, dedicated to a human. But yeah, as you can tell from my voice, probably you can't, but those who know, I'm very annoyed. I need to go and use my Peace bath salts. What I will say is that there will be a new batch of spirit salts, the bath salts that I conjure. They will be out, or they'll be available to order next week, Friday. Yeah, next week, Friday, you'll be able to put your order in and I'll try and send them out super ASAP. I'm just finishing off sending off this lot of orders. And in that one, there'll be a new release and it will be it'll be the love spirit salt, the love bath salt. And for that, I'm really encouraging people, first and foremost, before you try and use it, because it will work, but before you try and use it to like draw the love of other people, I would say use this batch to really center yourself for the love of yourself. I know that with all the work that I've done, spell work wise for myself, the focus has been like self-love, forgiveness of self, that sort of thing. And then I found that other things just naturally kind of were magnetized towards me. But if you're using it and it's about a person and you're going to go out, I would say like use the bath salt before you go out. Although I do feel like they work best if you kind of use them at night, let yourself air dry, go to sleep. Don't do no nookie wookie because you're trying to conserve all of your energy, your erotic energy for yourself to bring forth the thing that you want. I write that in the instructions as well, but I'm going to email that to all of you who have made your orders. You'll get the instructions to go with it. I really should have sent that out, but yeah, I'll send out the instructions with that as well. So yes, so there'll be a love one. They'll be out next week, Friday. I usually make the drop at midnight. So it'll be midnight Friday. It's only going to be a super small batch because this batch was a lot. So it'll be a small batch that I'll release on, I believe it's Friday 19th. Yeah, it'll be Friday 19th of December. So if you want to get that, it'll be on my website, kelechiokafor.com. Let's go to what I was saying. I'm going to use my Peace bath salts later because I'm annoyed today. I'm very annoyed because I feel like maybe that's what the segment is. I open up these segments complaining about a building that I am in. I'm not going to tear these people a new asshole just yet, but soon come, as in the place that I've got my current office. But what I will say about the place where my studio is, my dance studio, for those who don't know, I'm the founder of a pole dance studio. It's called Kolechnikov Fitness and it's in Peckham and it's wonderful. But yeah, we had through Southwark Council, some people imposed on us this property management company called Workman LLP, like Workman LLP. I went and looked at their, leaders today, the people, their leadership team, all white, every single person white, and maybe they sprinkled in like a couple of women in there, but all white. And it's interesting to me that you'll then talk about you're doing Black History Month at your company, but you treat the marginalized folk that are in the buildings that you're meant to be looking after like trash. Why do I say this? So we've had a faulty lock. When they did their whole renovation or refurbishment of the Sojourner Truth Centre where the pole dance studio is, when they did the refurbishment, which we had spoken to Southwark Council and we're like, we have paid you so much service charge throughout the years. I hope that you're not expecting to raise anything that we're paying because you haven't used it for the things that you need to use it for. Go and use the money that we've given you throughout the years. They're like, yeah, no, we won't be doing anything crazy, whatever. But dear listener, they got crazy. And so we've been tussling for probably 2 years now, all of the tenants in the building. Apparently I'm some kind of ringleader. We've been tussling with Southwark and Workman because we're like, Workman, their portfolio, they manage all these massive corporations, like these in like central London, right? Big companies are what they usually manage. So why would a little community centre in Peckham be something that you would add to their portfolio? Because they're trying to give us the same costings that they give to those lot. Like they're trying to charge us the same prices. It doesn't make sense. Why are these companies full of incompetent people, like genuinely useless people, greedy, heartless monsters? And so we were like, no, we're not paying that. We can't be paying that. That's ridiculous. We won't be doing that. So we've been going back and forth. Anyway, when they did the refurbishment, didn't replace the front door. So with the jugu lock, the jugu door that we've had for years, finally gave up and said, girl, I can't hold the wind and the rain and the earth back no more. I can't do it. So we had to have a new lock put in. Tell me why. You know what I'm going to do now? Tell me why they fitted a new lock. They told us that it was going to be done. Didn't tell us. I don't think they went into detail about the day. Anyway, they did it yesterday. Put in the new lock. There are 15 keys for the tenants in the building for each of us. They put the keys in a room and locked that room. So now we don't have access to get the keys. So we can access the front door of the building to get into the building to run our businesses. So I had to call one of the guys today. His name is Tyrone, that works at Workman LLP. You self-loathing coons. That's a story for another day. So I call and I'm like, oh, good. I think I said like good morning or good afternoon. You know me. I feel like you should always be very, very, very careful with the people who approach you with politeness, because you think that because they're polite, that they're not mad. The most polite people I know, the maddest people I know, are very polite to begin with, because they need to give you the space, the depth and the breadth of space to fuck up. So then when you fuck up, they're like, oh, this is a fuck up party? Oh, this is a party of madness? Oh, let me, this is my favorite kind of party. So I call him and I'm like, good morning, good afternoon, whatever I say. I'm like, I'm calling from Kolechnikov Fitness because we need to get one of the keys and apparently you've locked it in such and such a room. We need to, well, you all should have thought about that and coordinated with us so we could have gotten the key to you yesterday. Brother. Do you want me to wake Bob Hoskins up from the dead because he probably needs to remind both of us that it's good to talk. Who are you talking to? Tyrone? They said you better call Tyrone. And I called Tyrone, and Tyrone is moving mad. Like, you should have called. No. You wrote an email yesterday in the morning, or what, your colleague wrote an email yesterday saying that, yes, the key, the lock has been changed, the keys are done, or they've been placed in this room and they need to be signed for. So if you leave the premises, if you leave the site, pray tell how any of us get the key. Well, nobody's on site today. Okay, well, somebody needs to be made to come on site today, because I'm sure if this was Keir Starmer or Putin or any of these men, and they said to you, I'm at such and such place right now, you would show up there and do what needs to be done. But we're not worth, or if it was one of their big corporations, you're going to tell them that you're not available to come and drop them a key so they can run their big company. But because we're a little community center, you don't need to prioritize bringing us a key. You change the lock, but we can't have a key to get into the building. Then you're sending emails about, guys, remember to double lock when you're leaving in the evening as a security measure. If you've locked the fucking keys away, we can't do that. We can't double lock the door. Because do I double lock the door with my minge hairs? Do I pluck a hair from my minge and stick it in the door to lock it, you fucking buffoon? Everyone, everywhere performing authority when you haven't got a fucking clue, you incompetent fools. Everyone wants to yap in whatever industry. I'm tired of stupid fucking people talking to me all of the time. I've got to pretend that you make sense or try to reason with you. Why am I having to reason with buffoons? Most of you are so coked up, you don't finish the task. If it was to find yourself at a pub, all of you know how to find yourself at a pub. But when it's to finish a task from A to Z, you don't know how to do it. We will lose you at C. Big C for cunt. I'm incensed because I'm tired of small community groups, small businesses, especially those run by Black people, people of color, by women especially, who meet at those intersections. Disabled people, neurodivergent people, trying to just do what they do in this life. And here comes these fucking organizations, these businesses, to talk to you like you're a piece of shit. I promise you, it's not me that you're going to speak to anyhow. We will actually enter the same workman trouser. But it's not even them that can be blamed. It's Southwark Council, aka that massive money laundering scheme, that scam. The S in Southwark Council is for scam. Disgusting people. Bureaucracy used to hide corruption. Very corrupt, very smelly, very nasty. And then you'll get people running for councillor to do this, that, and the other. What the fuck are you councillors doing anyway? You useless buffoons walking up and down about, oh, we care about, go and care about something and actually get some shit done. Not me whacking the microphone with my very muscular thigh. Sorry. But yeah, no, I just felt to share that because what in the hell? And obviously Tyrone doesn't know that I've got numerous platforms, various platforms that I can drag him and that company up and down. And you lot just rebranded, Abby. You rebranded. You've got a new logo. I will bombasticate that logo and that new branding. I will drag you from up to down, from east to west. I will drag. That branding won't stick. You've now turned off comments on the Instagram. That isn't a problem for a real G like me. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. There are always Google reviews. There are things, but you will stop talking to people like they are idiots. A whole building of people, for those who are slow to kind of get what I'm, to pick up what I'm putting down, let me explain it to you. It's the equivalent of, you live in an apartment building, and the building management people for your apartment building, they need to change the main door downstairs that lets you in through the front so you can go up to your apartment. They change the lock downstairs, but they don't give you the key so you can enter downstairs. So pray tell, how do you get into your apartment? Can you see the conundrum? And then they're telling you, oh, well, we're not going to be on site today, so more than likely we're going to pick this up on Monday. on Monday. So people have got to go about 3 days not having a key to get into the building that they run their businesses. I hope that some of you companies and the people that run them, I hope you are non-existent by 2017. I hope the earth claims you. Get out of here. Get out. Disgusting individuals. And the worst part is when you're speaking to somebody that is meant to be of similar heritage or a heritage adjacent to you, and they're trying to talk to you anyhow. You won't be your voice to me. Take that up with your colleagues. Anyway, let's get into the actual things, but that's part of my news, Sha. And that's why, I miss the days of Say Your Mind, my other podcast, where I could just drag some of you for filth. But that doesn't mean that this is called front page fuckery. This is my front page. Better get to know. Disgusting individuals. Some of you run companies and you don't have sense. Like, you do not have brain cells to run together or to rub together. All the brain cells that you have, they're not igniting. Can you hear that? That's us trying to rub your brain cells together, but they're not igniting. Shan. It's not happening. Buffoons calling themselves CEOs and COOs. Anyway, into the things. TikTok Live was momentarily, I don't know if it still is, suspended between certain hours in Nigeria due to explicit content. So apparently the Nigerian TikTok users have really just been doing anything. Just anything. Apparently just... Nigeria, when will you marry? When will you actually marry? They gave us a platform to use, and then you said that you were going to use it. Like, for such a very performatively religious country, we really like to get up to no good. So it says here, TikTok suspends its users in Nigeria from watching or going on live at night over their increased explicit and sexual content. There's a screenshot here that someone posted saying, we're temporarily limiting live late at night in Nigeria as part of our investigation to ensure our platform remains safe and our community stays protected. Now, people generally won't be on TikTok, I imagine, for much longer, because it's been bought by Oracle, isn't it? And Oracle, all of them lot, Palantir, all of them lot, very Zionist, or we'll call them Zai-Zais, very Zai-Zai. And yeah, they know how powerful. Even Hillary Clinton said it, that little bitch. She said, she was doing a talk recently and she was saying how TikTok has been where all of this anti-Israel sentiment has been spread. So to the Zai-Zais, TikTok and the like are the worst things to ever happen, because my God, people found sense. People were educating each other. People were mobilizing. People were finding different code words to use in order to communicate with each other about all of the things that were going on. And they don't like that. So why don't we get a CIA affiliated entity to buy the platform so they can really aggregate what we see and just really control the things that we see. And I've noticed it. And I saw somebody post today that they're leaving Instagram, they're leaving the things, they're leaving the girls. And I totally get it, because social media, if you are somebody of integrity, will ruin your life. I can attest to that. What do I mean by this? It wants you to perform. You're seeing the people who are doing numbers, how they're doing it. And it's interesting, like, there will be white, cute girls on TikTok, Instagram that are saying the same things that I'm saying. They'll be boosted, right, on socials because it's racist. The algorithm will favor anybody of lighter skin. And so they're saying similar things, they get boosted. I think because there's something there underneath it all where it's just like, oh, this person's just saying shit. Like, I'm not taking away, because some of them are really about that life, but for the most part, they're like, they will still stand with white supremacy when the time comes, if they need to. I don't know. I just get that sense that it's like, oh, we can show them because we don't feel like they're of that much harm. But my videos get so heavily suppressed. Even today, when I was dragging these lot, Workman, they started suppressing, like Instagram, Meta started suppressing my views. I don't give a shit. But I say I don't give a shit, but there is that moment, that flash of frustration that you feel where you're like, oh, this video isn't going to get out, it isn't going to get anywhere because they are stopping it. And then you start feeling like, well, what am I saying? What is what I'm saying? Does it matter? All of these things where, of course it matters. Of course you're brilliant. Of course all of these things that you do are great. But the algorithm will not show that because it is a system, a platform made by losers who have a lot of money. So they are going to try to amplify losers, or they don't mind amplifying written text, but you and your cute black face, absolutely not. No. So you then feel like you have to do a next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And for me, no, I'm tired of trying to match the system and trying to beat the system or keep up with the system. No, now I feel like I'm in a space of, I'll make what I make. If 5 people listen to the podcast, so be it. 5 million people listen, so be it. But I'm giving up on caring, because what the fuck is the point anyway? Everything right now, everything is rigged. So no matter how much effort you're putting in, you're only going to see certain things back. Same with publishing, same with the film industry, same with any industry. You're just going to see that if you are trying to move with any level of integrity and you're not behaving like a rabid capitalist monster, then no, you're not going to get what is deemed as success. And a lot of black people in the UK are willing to play the game so they can prance around doing certain things. Like, I remember when everybody was interviewing Diddy, and I felt like, surely they know something's about to come out about him. That's why he's doing all of this stuff. But clearly not. Sierra is currently doing a press run at the moment for something or other. You know me, I'm a CC girly from my goodies, not my goodies. You know, like, I've been a CC girly from day, but there is something that unnerves me a bit about her current persona. Her and Russell, what's his name? You know her, is it Russell? It's gone out of my head. But her guy now, all these babies, it feels like we're going down that right wing sort of side, but let me keep my thoughts to myself. But I'm glad that the UK people them get to interview her. But I looked at that and I was just like, for the length of time that I've shouted up and down about Sierra, I'm yet to interview her, yet to meet her. But there are certain people who gatekeep in the UK as to who gets to meet whom, because they're like, well, this is my friend and my friend isn't political in any sort of way, so I'll get them into places. But Kelechi will pretend to ignore Kelechi. But then there are people that you're inviting to things and they're tussling over, let me not, because then it gets weirdly specific. But I just think that attending fancy events doesn't mean that your life isn't a mess. And most of these people, outside of the events that they go to and the things, they don't actually stand for nothing. They've got nothing to really show for it. Nothing on a soul level, nothing. And so people will gatekeep because they want to make sure that the people who are in those spaces are like themselves. And what one needs to do in terms of myself is to continue to decenter within myself any desire to be in similar spaces, because I already know the game that's at play. I don't know how we move from that, from all of that and TikTok, but it just felt like it needed to be said. What also needs to be said is that there are people in prison currently who are part of the Filton 18, and they're on a hunger strike. And for some reason, we know the reason, Zai, Keir Starmer and David Lammy don't want to talk about it. Mainstream media don't want to talk about it. And instead, they're distracting people with right-wing animals who are apparently doing heroic acts, but they are white supremacists. And they're being promoted across social media and across the rag newspapers for doing certain things. But really, their motives are anti-immigration, all of these things, but they'd rather show us that than to show us that there are people who are actually doing what they need to do when we talk about overturning this system. I was saying it on Meet Me at the Altar yesterday, my private podcast, how there are people who are actually about it in this life. Young people who of different ages, but let's say specifically young people who are actually about this life. Like when they say in years to come, with the new world that we're living in, this new system that benefits so many of us that we're living in, is people like this who sacrifice so much so we can have those things. But instead, the media will either ignore them or present them to us as an inconvenience. So let me just read you this bit. At breakfast time on Sunday in Bronzefield Prison, the first two of the prisoners for Palestine hunger strikers, Kessa Zura and Amu Gib, refused food. This marks the start of the first rolling hunger strike involving a committed group of prisoners in a British prison for decades. The 2nd of November was Balfour Day, the anniversary of the Balfour Declaration, when with the stroke of a pen, Sir Arthur Balfour set in motion the catastrophe that would befall the Palestinian people. Prisoners for Palestine, who advocate for the prisoners and their supporters, notified the Home Secretary of the impending hunger strike 2 weeks ago on the 20th of October. There has been no response from the government since then. In view of the intransigence of the British state, Kessa Zura and Amu Gib have volunteered to be the first of the prisoners to launch the rolling hunger strike. 20-year-old Kessa was remanded in custody on the 19th of November 2024. This is also important to remember, that they have been held for over a year without trial. And we're also seeing that the government is trying to push through currently this legislation or whatever, or they're trying to push through the fact that we should not have trial for any sentences that are going to be less than 3 years. And this is what I was saying last episode, that all of this is being done because it's just trying to yank chunks away of our human rights. And you will be made to believe that, oh, well, it's good that they're doing that because this and this and this falls under that. And eventually you will fall under that too. That is the issue. It doesn't just stop with the people that we don't like. This is why we have to look very carefully at legislation and things that come through, because it will be packaged to us in the color of hate that we prefer. And then we'll go, oh, yes, let's have that because it will be for my good and it will keep me safe against those people, forgetting that it's a Trojan horse. Once they're in, baby, they're in. Then anybody can get it. And at the same time, they're having conversations about stripping people of who are Muslim or people who are of color, stripping them of their citizenship. Anybody can get it. And you know where that started really? Not where it started, but you know where they really started to lock it in? Shamima Begum. So while we were all busy pontificating about, well, you know, should they have done that? No, they were pushing that narrative through because it was going to come and affect the rest of us later on. And I said it when it was happening to Shamima Begum, that they will use this to strip other people. And you're there currently thinking, oh, it will never happen to me because I don't really have an issue with the government because I'm a dickhead and I don't question anything and I just let whatever they want to do happen to me and it's fine. I'll just open my mouth for them to shove their cock inside it. It's fine. It's not fine. You think that you haven't done anything now, and then the rules become more and more and more stringent. And then holding on to your citizenship, you know, the conditions for holding on to your citizenship become more precarious. That's why we keep saying that nobody is free while anybody is unfree, because the thing that makes that person unfree will get us as well. The thing that makes that person unfree is currently providing what we deem this illusion of our freedom and our comforts. And this is ultimately part of my issue with the Black British sort of landscape, that people will talk about, oh, but you know, my elders had to do this and my ancestors had to do this, so I'm gonna rest and da da da. The rest that we're talking about isn't what you're doing. The rest that we're talking about isn't you just going to fancy restaurants all day, every day. That's not the rest that we're talking about. Get up and do something. Get up and actually do something. I feel like this might be a controversial opinion. We're very docile as Black British people in this country now, because our elders were badding people up. They were doing the things that changed the laws that allow us to have the things that we have now. And those freedoms that they secured for us are being eroded in real time. And then you lot are there like, well, I don't mind because Keir Starmer invited me to number 10. Maybe you should have fallen in the toilet. I don't mind because I got invited to the palace. Hope you choke on the next sandwich that you eat. Anyway, continuing. 20-year-old Kissa was remanded in custody on the 19th of November 2024. She's accused, along with 23 others, including her younger brother Salam, of being involved in the Palestine Action Raid on Elbit Systems Research and Development Hub in Filton, Bristol, on the 6th of August 2024. Kessa is not expected to go to trial until April 2026. 30-year-old Amu Gibb was remanded in custody on 3rd of July 2025. Gibb is accused, along with 4 others, of allegedly breaking into the RAF Brize Norton site, Britain's largest Air Force base, and decommissioning 3 military aircrafts. The action allegedly caused £7 million worth of damage. Kessa, who entered HMP Bronzefield at the age of 19, has reported mistreatment throughout her time there, including arbitrary restrictions on her books, letters, and visits. She has been assaulted by guards, her keffiyeh has been taken from her, and in fact, all her keffiyeh pattern hijabs have been confiscated since the proscription of Palestine Action. She reports that her treatment and the treatment of the other pro-Palestinian prisoners at Bronzefield has got worse, with guards regularly referring to them as terrorists and implementing further restrictions. Amu also reports mistreatment, including having visits and phone calls restricted, regular solitary confinement, and removal from a crafting job due to embroidering Free Palestine on a cushion. My G, Guan Amu, Guan, yes. The prisoners, of which are the first, are launching the hunger strike to protest their continued imprisonment without trial, their mistreatment while in prison, and in support of a short list of demands, including the right to a fair trial and the dropping of all terror-related charges. The protest commences just 2 weeks before the start of the first Filton 24 trial on the 17th of November. In a statement from Bronzefield Prison declaring was it 17th, or is that meant to say 17th of December? Oh no, sorry, that was from November 3rd. Look at that, I'm reading this all the way from November 3rd. Starting on the 17th of November this year. In a statement from Bronzefield Prison declaring the start of the hunger strike, Kissa said, "For 15 months, we who are imprisoned for Palestine have tested this justice system, and for 15 months we have watched Elbit Systems, the Zionist entity, and our government abuse justice and prolong our imprisonment, demanding that we forsake our cause in exchange for our freedom. And so now we're forced to confront those that refuse to look us in the eyes with the very foundation of the humanity they deny, recognizing in us our life and our right to life." Amu also states, I'm hunger striking because my body has been put in custody of the state, but I still have a duty to fight for freedom from oppression. How can we sit in prison waiting until the noose tightens around our necks for opposing genocide? How could I not take action as children are murdered with complete impunity by a genocidal Zionist state? Looking away from horrors will not stop them from happening, and we need to face reality. Are we supposed to smile and ask nicely for our lines from a justice system which is fundamentally corrupted by Zionism? Francesca Nadine, Prisoners for Palestine spokesperson, said, the unnecessary imprisonment of Palestine activists is clearly part of an orchestrated witch hunt by the British government. In the face of this abuse of state power, the prisoners have no choice but to fight back in the only way they can and strike for their freedom. And so, yeah, this was from the 3rd of November. They have been on a hunger strike all of this time. And I'm saying this to you on the 12th of December. And they are in critical condition from not eating. And there'll be pricks out there who are like, well, they should just eat then. You know what makes it so hard? Because one of the things that they asked for, if I'm not wrong, is for any ties with Elbit Systems and the UK to stop. Britain loves war and relies on the money that it gets from war. It has done before colonization and, you know, hence the feudal system, all of that. It relies on the money that it gets from war. So this is an ask that they're like, we can't do this. We're not going to do this. We would rather you die than for us to give up all of the things that we enjoy, our spoils of war. And this is what I'm saying, like, I was talking about this, like I said, in a private podcast yesterday, Meet Me at the Altar, and I was saying how sometimes I feel a bit shit because I'm trying to manage and balance out my time, right? I'm going to Thailand to go and kick a couple, you know, punching bags to learn more Muay Thai. And there are real G's, like actual G's, refusing food because they want it known that what's happening in another part of the world is deeply unfair and should not continue. And of course, it won't be put out on mainstream media because it's just, what do you mean liberation? What do you mean people can take, you know, matters into their own hands and say, no, this has to stop? Jeremy Corbyn, forever that guy, has been trying to get hold of David Lammy. David Lammy ignored him for ages. It says here, Jeremy Corbyn sent a letter to David Lammy on the 20th of November requesting an urgent meeting to discuss the welfare of his constituent, Amu Gib, who is currently on hunger strike. David Lammy responded with, considering the ongoing proceedings, it would not be appropriate for me to meet with you to discuss the situation in any greater detail. It's so funny how black and brown people are used as the, I say used, I need to take that back, who are willing to be active participants in oppression. And this is what gets me with, you know, some of the Americans and how they're loving off Jasmine Crockett because she's tussling with Trump. She also gets money, not directly from AIPAC, but through one of their other people. So nobody is refusing to be a Zai. So what? So when you say that you want to vote for somebody that represents you, oh my God, you guys were so mean to Kamala Harris. You're now being so mean to Jasmine Crockett because they are all agents of white supremacy. I know you think they're cute. I know you think they remind you of you, but they are still problems. And there are people who won't want to call David Lammy out. I met a guy the other day, like at a function, cute black guy, you know, doing well. He's kind of moving through the ranks in his field. And we got onto the subject of David Lammy. We were outside somewhere. We didn't go anywhere together. We met at the function and we're talking at the function, and we got onto the subject of David Lammy. And he was like, yeah, but you know, as a black man, I'm kind of inspired by him. By what? Same as the black guys. Like, are you that starved? Actually, sorry that you are. And sorry, trying to pay attention to what we're saying here about hunger strike. But what I'm saying is, like, are you that starved of great role models, black male role models, that warmongers are who you want to look up to. That makes sense to you. And while I'm on that subject as well, it seems like I'm deviating, but stay with me. Everybody like loving 50 Cent for making this documentary about Diddy. I haven't watched it yet, but we do also remember, right, that 50 also has sexual assault cases against him. We do also remember that 50 Cent is a Trump supporter. So the water ain't clean anywhere, it feels like. This is a petty kind of thing for him. The violation that people have experienced at the hands of Diddy isn't actually 50's concern. He just wants to get back at Diddy. And we need to really sit with that. I mean, I was at the gym today. I've started this new gym, right? And I don't know if they have a Bad Boys for Life album, but they were just playing Bad Boy, like Diddy, I Need a Girl, like every song. I thought, are you aware of what you're doing? Bearing in mind that the documentary's out, you're blasting this music through the gym. It feels like a statement. They better not let me say their name and then bring some drama to their door as well. Anyway, Jeremy Corbyn said here one day ago, my constituent, Amu, is on day 40 of their hunger strike in prison. Last month, I requested an urgent meeting with the Justice Secretary to discuss their well-being. He has now officially declined my request. What an absolute disgrace. They are willing, the government is willing to let these people die. And what did they do wrong other than why should this factory be here? Why should these airplanes or whatever be here and be functional when all they're going to go do is kill people? People are carrying around a mannequin that says, I support Palestine action, and the fucking police are taking the mannequin and putting it in the police van. You don't feel ashamed? You don't feel like an idiot? And then you've got Rachel Reeves saying, I'm a proud Zionist. How many other ways do you not want it spelled out? I don't, what else do you want? At some point, we're going to have to do something together. And it might mean that we are inconvenienced in our day-to-day life. The MI5 agent that they've assigned to listening to my things, just get me puff puff. Don't add cyanide. Just get me puff puff. Get me things. Be useful. Be useful. I have this fantasy that I'm converting the people that are assigned to listen to me and my various platforms and the things that I say, because surely after hearing all of this, surely you have sense, but I doubt it, because you went to go and work for the people that you went to go and work for. And while I'm saying that, I really need to say that there was a guy that I used to date when I was in college. He essentially looks like he's disappeared off the face of the earth, and I think he's joined the MI5. When I look up his name on the internet, absolutely nothing of him. But back in the day, you would still see couple photos of him doing, because he was very into politics and he was really smart as well. You'd see couple photos of him at this event, at that event. I tell you, everything is gone from the internet. He's joined the MI5. I just know he has. And I remember one time he was saying how he got in trouble, and because his mum used to work at one of the police stations in she worked in the at the building. I don't know what she did or there, but she basically changed his name in the system and changed his surname to her maiden name or something or whatever, so that file couldn't be linked to him. It wasn't like he did anything major, but his name is on the system, and so she changed his name to like her maiden name or something, so it wouldn't be linked to him when anybody would do a search. The things that certain people are able to do because of the access that they have. But I just wanted to share that I think he's joined the MI5. So if you're listening, I know what you done. I know what you done and what you did. Okay. Anyway, delegation of US pastors fly to Israel. Well, Of course, pastors are doing anything these days. They're going to go and receive messaging and briefing from Israel. But anyway, before I even go to all of that, going back to Palestine, Prisoners for Palestine and the hunger strike that's taking place, like I said, they are in critical condition, and like, there are things that we can do to help, and I just don't think that we should let David Lammy and Keir Starmer rest. Your local MP also be sending them messages as well, and just be like, this isn't right. Keep writing on Keir Starmer's page. You can't limit all of the comments. Keep writing and writing and writing. Are you just ignoring the hunger strike? On the BBC, Sky News, all of them start flooding their comments with, are you just going to ignore the hunger strike? Like, we have to, because they have to do something. So now going to the delegation for, it says here, Christian pastors, influencers join 1,000 strong Israel mission backing Jewish state fighting anti-Semitism. 1,000 pastors represent tens of millions of Americans and have major media and social media influence, says Dr. Mike Evans. A delegation of 1,000 US Christian pastors and influencers, the largest group of American Christian leaders to visit Israel since its founding, arrived last Tuesday as part of a Friends of Zion initiative. The trip, organized in partnership with the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is designed to provide training and prepare participants to serve as unofficial ambassadors for Israel in their communities. Dr. Mike Evans, founder of the Friends of Zion, a heritage center in Jerusalem and a confidant of President Donald Trump, said most evangelical Bible believers are Zionists, making them a key ally in the efforts to counter anti-Semitism. I think that statement is so important, so you understand why there are a lot of evangelical Christians currently, specifically, who are saying nothing about what's happening in Palestine, because he's right, they are Zizis, because it was never God that you were worshipping. You were always worshipping power, right? Always worshipping capitalist power. So they will go to receive that messaging because that's all they're ever pushing in there. Like, listen to some of the things that you'll be saying. Any land I go in, I'll have dominion over. Anywhere I go, I'll be the head, never the tail. Baby, if you're the head, never the tail, what happens to the tail? Every land I go, everywhere my footsteps, I'll have dominion over. I will rule over a people. I will rule over a strange. That's colonization. Christian colonization. Your messaging is colonial ideology. It's colonial. It's from colonial imaginations. And when we know that the text that you're looking at has differed through time as well, pray tell why this is the text that they would want to give to you? The same text that they use, that they're going to come and have dominions over the heathens. They brought that to the continent. Then they got dominions over the, quote unquote heathens. And then when you try to fight back, it's like, no, give on to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. No, fuck Caesar, actually. Caesar could go fuck himself. So these devils that hate Jews hate Christians just as much. But it's funny because a lot of the Christo-fascists are anti-Semites. All the neo-Nazis, well, obviously they're anti-Semites, but they'll be doing up Christianity. So what is everybody even doing? Christ is just there, like flipping his 32-inch hair. Like, why am I in it? Of course, he didn't have 32-inch hair because he's not white. Anyway, they don't realize how dangerous just as much. What is being said against the state of Israel is 100 times worse than what the Nazis said on their party platform in 1920, and everyone is ignoring it. They don't realize how dangerous this is because clearly Mike Evans is conflating being Jewish with being Zionists, and they're not one and the same. The new wars of the 21st century are media wars, ideological wars. Remember, that's happening because we have Pluto in what? That's right, class, Pluto in Aquarius. And Aquarius rules large groups of people, hopes, dreams, communities, and it rules the internet. Yeah? So when we had Pluto in Capricorn, we saw how the banking system and all of the things that were given to us were used as a way to oppress us, and we were giving mixed messaging about wealth and resources, and government and monarchies. And so we are finding now that Pluto going into the internet is going to show us how the war is going to take place over that. So if we consider the fact that when we had Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, and Pluto's funny, right? Because they were like, 1 minute it's a planet, then it's not a planet, but that's how it likes to move, right? So Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, in the sign of Capricorn, that is to do with Earth, that's to do with finances and legacy and institutions and government and all of these things, right? And land. So there was, Taurus as well, but any Earth sign. So the war was over all of these things. Now the war has moved to something ideological, humanitarian. Well, war is also always a humanitarian thing, right? Or you'll find that humanitarian efforts have to arise from these things, but it's what they are fighting over. Now they're fighting over our minds, and they're fighting over the medium through which we use to communicate our thoughts to each other, especially as those thoughts pertain to liberation. So the new wars of the 21st century are media wars, ideological wars, economic wars, and proxy wars. And while Israel has never fought an ideological wars, an ideological war, its enemies have. Don't lie, Israel is an ideological war. Shut up. Evans said members of the visiting delegation were vetted to ensure no hidden agendas and signed a pledge committing to stand in solidarity with the Jewish people. We had over 2,000 people apply. We chose the best suited for this first trip. These 1,000 pastors represent tens of millions of Americans and have major media and social media influence. So basically gearing up for propaganda. The board is the largest coalition backing and advocating the people of faith, led by Pastor Paula White-Cain. Isn't that the one that was doing Angels from Africa? Angels from Africa. Isn't that Trump's girly? Its mission is built on 4 pillars: protecting religious freedom, promoting a strong America, defending life at all stages, and honoring family values. And it identifies the US-Israel alliance as central to that agenda. Okay, so one by one, protecting religious freedom. How is that so when you're killing people who have their other religious leanings and commitments? So what kind of religious freedom? Because you're not religious. Not really. You're just cult members. Promoting a strong America. America is done, baby. Pack it up. Like 5 years, you pack it up. And I find it funny that they're even saying that now, if you're going to come to America, you have to show 5 years of your social media. Baby, if I showed the last 5 hours, you would flog me at TSA. You would flog me at customs. If I showed the last 5 days, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, lock me up. And it confirmed, like, what am I coming to do there anyway? Anybody that's really saying that they want to go to America at this time, you really have to question who they are in their hearts as a person and what is it that you're going to do there? It's very strange. Anybody with that desire at this point in time, seeing what America is doing to the world, and they go, I still want to go there, you're an agent of white supremacy. Yep. And I'm not saying just go to have a gander, have a look, but to plant roots. Something. I'm telling you, the water ain't clean, honey. The water ain't clean. She says here, I stand with Israel very strongly. No, sorry, let me go back. Religious freedom, promoting a strong America, defending life at all stages, and honoring family values. That's why you're seeing more people going, get married, have a child with this person. Sometimes you'll see the most innocent looking video on TikTok, on Instagram, and then I'll click on their page and I'll be like, here we go. An agent of propaganda. oh, I just love my girlfriend. I just went on a date with a girl and she's the most amazing girl. And I want to have all the jobs in the world so I can pay to look after her and take her to all the best places. And you click on the page and it's like, what can I do to be a leader, to lead my wife? And I said, the messaging, they've been funny with it, but you are dealing with white supremacists, Christo-fascist white supremacists. They don't know, they either don't know what they're doing or they're doing it well. And Nara, is it Nara Smith? Another one. If they're doing up marriage and the children and to lead and wrap it up. And all these Christians and these pastors have really been doing a lot. Some of you, like your pastors, you're married and you're still cheating aggressively. What part of your Bible tells you to do that? Like what? Like you will really stand on a pulpit and be talking about, yeah, you know, Christ said this, Christ said that, where you're bringing STIs back to your wife because you're letting everybody gobble your cock? It's amazing to me what some people get up to in this life. Honestly, I will tell you that for nothing. I just face my front because so many things come my way. And I feel like if I was a messier person, like who is going to take up for Wendy Williams? Who is going to step into Wendy Williams's shoes? Because if I stepped in, just like where were you the night before your traditional wedding? I know so much, yet I say so little. You wouldn't believe that because I talk at length on these podcasts, but I prefer to talk about this kind of news than to talk about the news that really just passes me by, you know, comes across my desk on a day-to-day basis. But don't ever let any pastor talk nonsense about me, my videos, or because I will spill the blood of Jesus. I will spill the wine. I will spill the tea. Yeah? Let's all mind out before we find out. Because if I start speaking, only Christ will have to take the escalator down to come and stop me. But this is very shoddy, and you're going to see more messaging from pastors that are very zai in energy. Bonnie Blue, you know Bonnie Blue. If you don't know Bonnie Blue, she's a very diabolical woman that likes to do very odd things sexually. And she has one of those OF accounts, and she makes a ton of money from making the videos that she makes. I do believe that sex work is work. At the same time, I feel like if I did believe in that sort of thing, I would say that Bonnie Blue is probably the Antichrist. Anyway, adult actress Bonnie Blue endorses Reform UK as she faces deportation from Indonesia over barely legal sex stunts. So she's the one, I think she slept with or had sex with 1,000 men in a day or something, and everybody lined up to sleep with her. She's harvesting your energy, you idiots. Even if you don't realize, she doesn't realize that what she's doing is energy work or spell work. I think she does. She's taking your useless souls and using it to generate more income for herself. And you know what? This is smart by Reform UK because they need degenerates to vote for them. And she has access to thousands of useless men who will never amount to anything in life, that she can influence how they vote. And so these are the kind of people that will be voting Reform. Smart move. Smart move. Controversial adult content creator Bonnie Blue has announced her endorsement of Nigel Farage's Reform UK. Bonnie, real name Tia Billinger, has admitted she's not knowledgeable about politics, well, clearly, but said she does know the UK is very messed up. This is coming from somebody who flew all the way to Indonesia to film herself having sex with a person or a guy, I would imagine, so she can call the content barely legal. He just turned 18. That's you're a pedophile. You're a pedophile. The adult performer, who is known for her outlandish sexual stunts, has praised Reform UK's stance on immigration and inheritance tax. Writing for The Spectator, she can write, Bonnie criticised the UK under Labour, saying the tax system is terrible and it's smart to leave if you have money. There are too many people here. We are too accommodating and it's causing problems, but you're going to go fuck man in another man's country. There are too many people here. Yet British people want to be everywhere. You want to be in everyone else's country, but you don't want them to come to yours. And not only, and this sums it up, the sexual depravity that the British have done throughout the world, but then they want to deny people access to this country by saying, oh, they're going to come and do sexual depravities over here. But that's the calling card that you put out. And also that's not what they're going to do. But because of your sick psyche, because of your rotten psyche, you're projecting onto everybody that which you are. Writing for the she explained that she previously worked for the NHS. Oh God, no wonder it's on its knees. Most people have no idea where the money goes. Bonnie has suggested that you shouldn't have to pay any inheritance tax as you've already been taxed on that money. But the royal family, they're not having to pay that inheritance tax. Take it up with them as well. She added, when my granddad died, it was particularly sad because he was too young for my grandma to receive his pension. That's disgusting. Reform has sensible positions on immigration and inheritance tax, so I stand with Nigel Farage. You can tell she doesn't have a clue what she's talking about. A Reform UK source said, we did say we are fighting for every vote. The adult film star recently made headlines after she was arrested in Bali for trying to pick up barely legal men in her bang bus. The 26-year-old, she's only 26. She hasn't even started her Saturn return. Wait for Bonnie Blue's Saturn return. Watch how life is about to flog her. And so she will be Saturn in Taurus. So we're looking at 2029. I want to see where she is in 2029. It will be very interesting because she's playing a very interesting game. The 26-year-old was arrested alongside 17 men aged between 19 and 40 years old, accused of making pornographic material, which is banned in Indonesia. And that's my thing. You're going to a country where something is banned, like this is their law, but you're breaking their law, but you feel like people shouldn't come over here and break our laws. I'm saying everybody should not break anybody's laws. Do you get what I mean? But it's the hypocrisy of it that you're saying this while being deported, you fool. If they get rid of all of these people, who are you going to lie on a table in a field to fuck? Pray tell. And this is not me sex shaming or kink shaming. This is person shaming. I think she's diabolical. I think she's a nasty person, not because of what specifically she does. It's her whole, it's her whole ethos, her whole agenda that I find abhorrent. Or barely legal? Oh, you're a nasty bitch, to be honest. So yeah, wanted to share that. And then Variety shared the best films of 2025, and people are really tussling with them because Sinners didn't make the list. Suleiman's Story made it. Number one was Dreamers. Is it Dreamers? Oh, sorry, Dreams. Don't know what that's about. One battle after another. Sound of Falling. 28 years later. I know Weapons is on here, and it's funny to me if Weapons is on here because Weapons was not a good film. I'm sorry. I watched Weapons and I thought to myself, okay, so how did she get there? Like, what was her whole thing? So she did all of that for what reason? Like, I watched it on the plane when I was, I think, coming back from Thailand. It made no sense. Like, why did she do that? We didn't even cover that. Sometimes they do spooky, supernatural for the sake of it, and they don't even tell us, so how did that bitch get there in the first place? Like, what was her whole MO? Odd. But Sinners not being there, and I have to be transparent, I haven't watched Sinners. However, I know that Ryan Coogler makes amazing work. So the fact that he's not there feels odd to me. And for the amount of money that that film has made as well, it feels like they are snubbing him. And I mean, I haven't made a film that he's made, or like a film like he's made, but I do feel like you do get snubbed in certain regards when people think that, oh, I didn't expect this of you. This is good, and you're not staying within the confines that I made for you. This is really irritating me. So I'm sorry to well, it's not a big deal because it's just their list. Anybody can make a list. I can fucking make a list right now if I wanted to, of the best films of 2025. You either rock with it or you don't. Because a lot of these places that we give so much like credence to and reverence to, they're ridiculous. We can all do whatever we want. I'll start a Kelechi's list right now. You know? Anyway, before I get into the papers, which is the reason that we're here, let me just look, because I know that you've been sending emails over the weeks and I haven't actually gone through them. So I'm just going to pick one for today and I'll do the others another day. I'm sorry that I yap away and I don't actually read what you send through. So here's one. Hi, Mother of the Universe. Thank you, because that's what you are to me. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do and say. I've been listening to you from your SYM days. I feel like you are one of the very few people who make sense of the hell we are existing in. This country makes me feel like the only safe space I can exist in is my grave, oh Bab. And even that will probably be trashed. I know you keep on saying that we need to find a home elsewhere, but where is it safe for women of color? Unless the systems of this white heteropatriarchy supremacy changes, we won't ever be able to live safely. The front page fuckery I'd like to share is from Yorkshire Evening Post. That did not surprise me, is that a damning report reveals maternity failings in care of Black and Asian women. People are blaming the lack of funds and under-resourcing the NHS has. However, this cannot be the reason, as the underfunding doesn't impact white women and their babies. It's like they don't want us or our future children to exist, which goes back to, thank you, Bab, for sending that. It goes back to my point that I was making about what this Paula Rere was saying about the Christo-Israel affiliation nonsense that's going on. The Zionist Israel, the American Zionist Christian hoo-ha that's happening. She's talking about protecting life. How is it you don't provide for the children? You don't want to look after the children. The children are getting shot up in schools because you won't fix your gun laws, but you want to talk about, protecting children. No, you're trying to over police. You're trying to police the reproductive organs of the people who would be birthing these children so you can have control over everyone. Essentially, that's what it is. But you don't plan to look after the people when they're here, because you're not providing healthcare, you're not providing food, you're not providing accommodation. So why do you want the child to be in the world if you're not going to look after it? Or it makes it to school and it gets shot up by some white boy that you didn't provide the right mental health services to. So what's the point? And so going back to what is being said here by this person that sent in this letter, is that when it comes to the UK though, oh, the NHS is on its, it's on its knees, it's struggling, it's doing this, it's doing that. And I'm not saying that white women also have traumatic experiences within the NHS and within the hospital or the healthcare system, but we know that it's more pervasive and it's disproportionate, and Black and brown women are disproportionately overrepresented when it comes to this. And they'll say, oh no, it's the underfunding. No, it's your racism. Every time I promise you that racism is the answer. Why is this such and such racism? And what is going to be done about it then? And I don't know where we're going to move to. I plan to travel more and respect the laws, respect Allah, respect the laws of the countries that I go to, unlike Bonnie Blue, to figure out where I can live, where I can be. Because I know that me and Britain are done. It's one of those things where you're getting a divorce, but you're still living in the same house. That's how I feel about Britain. Like, it doesn't want anything to do with me. I don't want anything to do with it. Because what is this government? Somebody asked Keir Starmer the other day, do you think from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is an anti-Semitic chant? And he said yes. He said yes with a straight face, a human rights lawyer that knows the things. That's how they've bought everybody. I don't know. And I keep saying, I don't care what it is that you did in that video. All of you lot. I don't care which party you went to and which pig's head you stuck your penis into. I don't care. I don't care what they're going to blackmail you with. Just tell the truth. It's getting weird. It's been weird for decades, don't get me wrong, for centuries even, but let's stop lying. And then you've got someone like Obama saying America isn't about violence. What do you mean? America was created from violence. The America that we know was created from violence. When people are like, oh, this particular president assaults women. Most of the presidents assaulted women. Some raped, enslaved women, and then told them that that's my girlfriend. It's not new what's happening, but just because it's not new doesn't mean that we don't need it to stop. Is the point. Stop acting shocked because nothing is new. It just needs to stop. Pardon me. Anyway, let's get to the actual front pages. The Guardian. I didn't get many rags today, but The Guardian says UK facing worst winter flu crisis within a fortnight as cases surge. Winter flu, because they don't want to use the other name. The NHS is bracing itself for its worst ever winter crisis descending in the next fortnight because of a worsening flunami that has left hospitals, GP surgeries and ambulances services under intense strain. Hospitals are already treating record numbers of people. What does that sound like? What year does this sound like? Hospitals are already treating record numbers of people left seriously ill by flu for the time of year. But things would get worse in the days ahead. NHS leaders said as medical chiefs urged people to get vaccinated against the virus so they could enjoy Christmas gatherings more safely. Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting have launched coordinated assault on the British Medical Association for its irresponsible decision to call thousands of resident doctors in England out on strike next week. Anyway, the Prime Minister and Health Secretary urged the doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, to endorse the government's latest offer to settle the long-running pay and jobs dispute and thus avoid the NHS having to grapple with a 5-day walkout due to start on 17th of December that has caused huge alarm in the service. Sir Jim Mackey, the chief executive of NHS England, has already described the walkout as cruel, calculated and designed to cause mayhem. So give them part of your salary, Sir Jim. Give the doctors part of your salary. Since it's so cruel, give them part of your salary. Everyone's complaining because people are standing up for themselves and saying we deserve better than this for the hours that we work, for the work that we do. We deserve more than this. And then you're villainizing them when you could just solve the issue, spend less on war and actually give them the money that they're asking for. That rhymed. That should be a rapper. It may yet be called off, but only if enough resident doctors see an improved offer from Streeting on Wednesday as enough of a reason to do so. New data released by NHS England yesterday showed that an average of 2,660 people a day were being treated in hospital last week as a direct result of flu, 55% up on the 1,717 seen the week before, and enough to fill 3 entire NHS trusts. That 2,660 is the highest number ever seen in the first week of December and included 106 people in intensive care, mostly with difficulty breathing. The number of patients in hospital with flu is extremely high for this time of year. Even worse, it continues to rise and the peak is not in sight yet. So the NHS faces an extremely challenging few weeks. It sounds like something, but they don't want to call it the something. But even if what we're saying is that, yeah, flu, a virus, all right. The issue is with the lack of funding. What were you expecting to happen? Huh? Out of the shadows, Venezuela opposition leader in Oslo as pressure grows on Maduro. Nobel laureate Maria Corina Machado said the US seizure of a tanker off Venezuela was a necessary step. I don't know what anybody's doing anymore. School head responds to claims of Farage abuse. Dulwich College's head teacher has responded to allegations of teenage racism by Nigel Farage by saying he recognised the seriousness of the behaviours described in the media. Robert Milner, who joined the private school in London this summer, said the alleged behaviour was at odds with the modern day school in a letter in which he said that he understood why 28 ex-pupils had felt compelled to speak out. He was responding to a letter from Jean-Pierre Liu, a former friend of Farage at school. Liu claims he witnessed abusive chanting and the targeting of Peter Etajui, a now film director, with anti-Semitic abuse. Farage has denied directly abusing school contemporaries while adding that some of his banter may have been interpreted differently today. The deputy leader of Reform, Richard Tice, has described those who had made claims as liars, although he appeared to backtrack yesterday by telling LBC recollections may vary. Isn't that what was said when they were asking what colour Archie was going to be? Talking about recollections may vary. So that was The Guardian. The Times, James Cameron says, I fear for the future of film. Why do you make so many avatars? I'm married at 26. It's so embarrassing. I'm too young. Stop trying to riff off things. Prepare for war with ruthless Russia, NATO chief tells Europe. That's what I'm saying. They don't want to pay for the NHS, but they want to pay for war. Europe must prepare for war with Russia, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said yesterday. He urged allies to raise military spending rapidly to meet the threat. Rutte said the continent faced a conflict on the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured, speaking in Berlin. No, because you lot are going to go to bunkers and leave the everyday people who are fighting with cough and sneezing to fend for themselves, but you've ran away. And they don't realise that because they're shouting, getting the immigrants out while their teeth are falling out. We are Russia's next target and we are already in harm's way. We must all accept that we must act to defend our way of life now, because this year Russia has become even more brazen, reckless and ruthless towards NATO and towards Ukraine. So has Israel, but you lot aren't saying anything. Rutte said too many people in Europe were quietly complacent and too many don't feel the urgency. NATO's own defences can hold for now, but with its economy dedicated to war, Russia could be ready to use military force against NATO within 5 years. Well, we've got some time then. Al Khan's, Britain's armed forces minister, reinforced Rutte's concerns, saying, I think the shadow of war is knocking at Europe's door once more, and we have got to be prepared to deter it. He added, if you are asking if Britain is on a war footing, then you are on the money, and warned that Britain should not rely on the US for defence. He told the Daily Telegraph, for the last 50 to 60 years, we have been reliant on US security guarantees, and now with multipolar threats facing the US, they may not be as forthright as they have in the past. You're saying this after pretty much selling most of everything that we have to the US. What are you talking about? Also yesterday, President Zelensky of Ukraine said any territorial concessions in the east of the country would have to be put to a referendum. Washington had proposed a withdrawal of Ukrainian troops in the Donbas region to create a buffer zone to separate the warring parties. They keep telling us prepare for war, because the war has already arrived. They're saying 5 years time, This is what I'm saying. There will be a mass exodus of black people, specifically from the UK, within the next, 2 years? Because I said this a little while ago, maybe a couple of years ago, and I said in the next 5 years. So we've got 2 to 3 years. People are going to have to leave because it's going to get very, very crazy here. The anti-immigration sentiment, the infractions on our human rights and the violation on our human rights, all of that's going to be happening, and then the quality of living is going to decrease. So people will want to leave. Britain wants war. It survives on the blood, on spilled blood, and it hasn't really been fed on this soil in quite a while. So the war has to come here. That's what they're rooting for, and we will be what's sacrificed if we don't get our act together. And I'm not saying that to be doom and gloom and to fearmonger. I'm just saying, like, wake the hell up. Oh, don't take woke. Streeting. Strikes may force NHS to collapse. We talked about Streeting last week and he just seems to be popping up quite a bit. I don't like him. Don't want to know. Mansion tax to devalue home by £50,000. Rachel Reeves's tax on expensive homes will knock more than £50,000 off their value, ministers admit. Those worth more than £2 million will be hit by a high council tax surcharge from 2028, which will lead to prices falling by 2.5%, according to government costings. The levy will be split into 4 bands based on value. Owners of homes valued at between £2 million and £2.5 million will pay an annual surcharge of £2,500, rising to £7,500 a year for homes worth more than £5 million. A £5 million house could lose £125,000 in value. The Treasury said the fall in values would be greatest close to the 4-band threshold because sellers will try to keep values low to avoid the levy. The policy costing of the surcharge assumes an average price impact on affected properties of 2.5%, with greater effects around the band thresholds. Dan Tomlinson, the Treasury Minister, said in response to a parliamentary question, the threat of higher taxes on expensive properties has led to agreed sales for homes above £2 million falling 13% on year on year, according to Rightmove, the property portal. A Treasury spokesman said, "We are reforming property taxes so a £10 million Westminster mansion doesn't pay less than a typical family home in England. Fewer than 1% of properties are affected." Well, I don't have a house, so I don't know what to tell you lot about that. I just heard bare percentages, actually. Anyway, lastly, the iPaper, which says here, prepare for war like our grandparents. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, NATO chief's chilling message to Europe. He insists we are Russia's next target. That's what I was going to say. No. You lot are Russia's next target. I am not Russia's next target. That's what you lot are taking up with each other. Putin knows. That's my Libra bro. I'm not involved. Whatever you man have going on, keep her sexy out of it. Prepare for war like our grandparents. What? Whilst Trump is doing Nazi things, this is happening over here. Bare neo-Nazis, bare fascists around. Just everybody remember, ich bin sexy. Yeah? Ich bin sexy. I'm not, ich nix kinda whatever, cut out for a hard life, for suffering. Yeah? Keep me out of it. Ich bin baby girl. Allow it. He insists, Royal Navy is pictured shadowing a Russian submarine in English Channel. You don't have time to be fighting on the water. Treasury watchdog blames Reeves for glaring error on tax. Sure. My generation is still homophobic. Leslie Sharp. Many generations are. Yep. And it's terrible. Super flu hits UK with cases highest in young children. But then they'll do a review down the line and be like, oh, why are we going on about the children? The children should have been sent to school and been allowed to play with each other. Outbreak yet to peak, NHS leaders warn, urging vulnerable to get vaccinated. Surging cases put intense pressure on hospitals, with NHS facing worst case scenario this month. Unprecedented wave of super flu is pushing staff to the limit as resident doctors vote on strike action next week. So I also feel like this messaging is happening because they are trying to make the public angry at the doctors that are striking, to be like, how dare you? You know that we've got this flu and you lot are striking and just thinking about yourselves and da-da-da-da. It's all very... What did I say earlier about the water? That's right, it ain't clean. Victoria Derbyshire decided to get married seconds after cancer diagnosis. Heaven knows we're more miserable now. Pop songs get more negative. Yeah, because they're reflecting the times, honey. Lunch buddies, killer whales and dolphins hunt together. Yeah, in their little rape gangs. Anyway, I feel like that's everything you know, I covered a lot of news because I had quite a bit saved in terms of links, and we went through the front pages. We did all of the things. My conclusion is we are doomed. So I'm joking, kind of 50%, 60% joking. But the positive thing is there are people out there who are doing everything they can to never stop talking about the oppressions that we are that we are navigating, that we are all subjugated, that we're all subjugated by. And that's why, like I said earlier, to show support to the prisoners, for, prisoners for Palestine, show support, do whatever you can, message your MP, send whatever provisions you can send to them as well through the channels that they're available. I'll try and add links as well, if that will help. Because they're really trying to not give us the news that we actually need. And this is why I have this platform, for as long as I have this platform, to share the news that I come by. And I don't always have all of the things because there are so many things happening all of the time. But we do need to really be paying attention because weird things, crazy things are happening. And also, like I said before, fuck Workman and fuck Southwark Council. Yeah, actually. Fuck Keir Starmer, fuck David Lammy, for good measure. And yeah, I think that rounds it up. That sums it up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me once again. I didn't even say welcome and welcome back. I didn't give you a really good introduction earlier. But when I'm in a mood, when I've got a cob on, you get what you get. But I really appreciate you joining me and going through all of the stories with me. And like I said, next week there will be a new batch of spirit salts, my bath salts that I conjure. They'll be ready for next week Friday, available for you to order. There'll be a new batch for love, and that's that. Fuck Bonnie Blue, but lots of people already do that. Again, not kink shaming. That's her job. I respect it. Anyway, well, I respect the job, not her. But yeah, that's that. Thank you. I've been Kelechi Okafor. That's the baby girl, aka Mother of London, and this has been Front Page Fxckery, where we turn bad news into good conversation. Take care of yourself, and I will catch you on the other side of the news. Peace.
Oh, have you heard the news? It's probably been twisted to keep the general population conflicted. Better lick your finger and turn the page. Dissect the lines that made you to rage. Get out of your Monday drudgery. Turn up the volume on Front Page Fxckery.